Hi sewist and aspiring sewist, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So in today's video I'm going to be teaching you how to make a demure hoodie top. So if this looks like what you're interested in, then let's get into the main video. So to start with, I'm going to be measuring the length of my hoodie top, which will be 26 inches. So I'm going to be marking out a point so that I can draw out the line for my length measurement. So after I was done with that, I went ahead to mark out 13 inches for my round waist, which is a default measurement because I'll be using 11.5 actual measurement. So now I proceeded to taking out 7 inches, which is going to serve as my chest line measurement. So I'm going to be marking this, making a point so that I can use my ruler to rule it out. So after marking out my chest line measurement, I'm going to proceed to marking out my bust line measurement, which is 10 inches. Moving on from my shoulder line again, I'm going to be coming down by 16 inches, and this is going to serve as my half length measurement for my hoodie top. So I'm going to be taking out different points so that I can use my ruler to trace it out. So my dear sewist, I'm going to be marking out the points I've drafted out because I want to be sure of what I'm pointing out. So I'm going ahead to label my chest line, my bust line, my waistline, my hip line. The next thing to do now will be to take out my shoulder line measurement. So for my shoulder line, I'll be making use of 9 inches, which is my result from dividing 18 inches into 2. So it gave me 9 inches, and this is what I'm going to be using because I'm making a measurement for a medium size hoodie top. So I'm going to be bringing this down, and I'm going to be using my ruler to carve it out. So after this, I'm going to proceed to marking out my neckline measurement. So for my neckline, I'm going to be using 3 inches for my neckline width, while I'm also going to be using 4 inches for my neckline depth. So I'm also going to be marking out these points, and I'm going to be using my curve ruler to carve it out. So once I'm done with that, I'm going to be coming down by 1 inch from my shoulder line to make my shoulder line very slopey because our shoulder is actually not straight. So the essence of this is to make it slopey, to give a slant line around the shoulder line. So once I'm also done with that, I'm going to proceed to marking out my 9 inch from my shoulder line, which is going to form my armhole length. So from that, I'm also going to measure the midpoint of my 9 inch, which is going to be 4.5, and then I will come in by half an inch. So I'm also going to be making use of my curve ruler to trace out my armhole to make it very curvy. So yeah, we are arriving at the point. So at this point, I'm going to be taking out 11.5 because this is the actual measurement we need for our round waist. And 11.5 is a result of 46 inches divided by 4 inches. That gave me 11.5. So I'm going to be marking out 11.5 on the different points I have: my bust line, my waistline, my hip line. And I'm also going to be using my ruler to draw this out. Yeah, so finally our pattern is beginning to make sense, and I'm also going to be labeling the part where I will be double folding because this is only a single fold though. So I'm going to be marking out so that I don't make a mistake while folding my fabric when it's time to cut. So once I'm done with this, the next thing to do now will be to cut out my pattern, and I'm going to be doing that right away. So from this, guys, I moved down to my back measurement, of which I came up by 1 inch, which is because my back measurement is going to be higher than my front measurement. But for every other thing, I repeated the same procedures that in which I did for my front bodies. So now I'm going to proceed to taking out my shoulder line measurement, which is also the same 9 inches I marked out for my front bodies. And I'm also going to be coming down making different points so that I can mark out my armhole line. So after this, I'm going to be marking out my neckline measurement. So for my neckline width, I'm going to be using 3 inches, and for the depth, I'm going to be using 1 inch, exactly the 1 inch we left for the shoulder length. So after this, I'm going to be tracing out my cuff with my cuff ruler, and I'm going to be carving it out. So after this, I'm going to be making my shoulder line slant. So I'm going to be coming down by 1 inch, just like we did for the front bodies. I also proceeded to measuring my armhole length, which I made use of 10 inches, and I came in by half of an inch, just like the way we did previously for the front bodies. So I decided to use my French cuff to also trace it out. Trust me, this is coming from someone who learned by freehand, so I'm only using my knowledge of pattern drafting to teach you how to achieve this hoodie top. So I'm also going to be repeating this same 11.5 inches for my back bodies. So I'm going to go ahead to mark out the different points, and I'm going to use my ruler to carve it out. So I'll go ahead to label my double folds marking, and then I'll proceed to cutting out my back pattern. The next step now will be the cap of our hoodie top. So I'm going to be measuring 16 inches as the length of our hoodie cap, of which I'm also going to be adding the allowance while cutting the fabric. But for my length now, I'll be using 16 inches. I'm going to be marking out my lines, and I'm going to be using my ruler to carve it out. So after this, I went ahead to mark out 13 inches for my cap width, and please kindly take note that when it is time for you to place this pattern on your fabric, you're going to be needing 4 pieces of glue, because we're going to be using the first 2 as the main cap. We're going to be joining the 2 together, and the other 2 we are going to be joining together as well to form the inner part of the cap. So for this, I came down by 4 inches from that edge of my cap, and I'm going to be merging lines together because that part will be curvy. So I'm going to be using my curve ruler to bring out the curvy shape I need for my cap. So now that I've gotten what I want, I'm going to proceed to cutting out my cap. So for my sleeve measurement, I'm going to be marking out 22 inches for my sleeve length. So while I'm done with that, I'm also going to be taking out 18 inches for my sleeve width, which I'm also going to be dividing into 2 which will give me 9 inches to mark out my midpoint. So after marking my midpoint, I'm also going to be marking my arm measurement. So for my arm measurement, I'm going to be coming down by 7 inches, while for my elbow measurement, I'm going to be coming down by 11 inches. So once I'm done marking out my point, I'm also going to go ahead to use my ruler to carve it out. Moving on, I'm going to proceed to carving out a triangular shape from my midpoint to the extreme end. So I'm going to be repeating this same thing on the other side of my sleeve. So now that I'm done, I'm going to be dividing this part into 2. So I'm going to be measuring the midpoint, and I'm also going to be repeating the same process on the other side because we're going to be making use of that point. So I'm also going to be dividing that point into 2, and this is going to give us 4 different points on both angles. I hope this is clear. So I'll be repeating the same process on the other side as well. So from the second point of the first angle, I will be coming out by 1/2 inch, and from the first point of the second angle, I'll be coming out by 1/2 inch as well, and I'll be using my curve ruler to mark it out. So on the 2 other points, I'm going to be coming in by 1/2 inch, and I can also decide not to come in and just mark out my curves because it is a hoodie top we are talking about, so it doesn't necessarily have to show the shaping of the sleeve, but I decided to come in by 1/2 inch. And I'm also going to be using my curve to trace this out, and then so after I'm done with this segment, I'm going to mark out 6.5 from my wrist midpoint, and I'm also going to repeat the same thing on the other side because this is what we're going to be using as our wrist measurement. So once I'm done marking it out on both sides, I'm going to proceed to merging the lines with the upper arm of my sleeve measurement. After that, I'm going to proceed to labeling my pattern, the elbow, the arm, the wrist. So once I'm done with this, I'm going to proceed to cutting out my sleeve pattern. So the next part I'm going to be drafting will be the pocket of the hoodie. So I'm going to be measuring 10 inches for the length of the pocket, and I'm going to be marking this so I can use my ruler to carve it out. So once I'm done with that, I'll also go ahead to mark out 12 inches. This will serve as the width of the pocket, the front pocket. So I'm also going to be marking out my point, and once I'm done, I'm going to be using my ruler to trace both lines out. So now that I already have my L shape and my square shape, I'm going to be marking out my midpoint. So I'll divide my 12 inches by 2 inches, which will give me 6 inches. So once I have my 6 inches lines traced, I'm going to be using my ruler to mark it out. So the same way I divided my width point is the same way I'm going to be dividing my length point. So I divided my 10 inches into 2, which gave me 5 inches. So I'm also going to be tracing this line out, and I'm also going to be marking it out with my ruler. So once I'm done with that, from the midpoint at the upper part, I'm going to be coming out by 3 inches, and on the other side as well, I'm also going to be coming out by 3 inches. So from that point, I'll be measuring 6.5 inches. So from the upper part, I'll be measuring 6.5 inches, while on the other side as well, I'll be measuring the 6.5 inches. So from the downside of my square, I'll be coming out by 2 inches. I'll be coming out by 2 inches, and on the other side as well, I'll be coming out by 2 inches. So once I'm done with this, I'll be connecting my lines together to bring out my pocket shape. So I'm going to be labeling this as the upper side of the pocket and this as the downside of my pocket. So for my hoodie waistband, I've gone ahead to measure the length as 5 inches, while for the width I've gone ahead to also measure 17 inches because this is going to be the stretchy part of the hoodie, and it is going to fit into my 46 round waist measurement, which is my bust and the likes. Now also take note that while placing this on your fabric, this is also going to be on double fold to give us 34 inches. So 34 inches would fit into your 46 round waist measurement. That is the body measurement. I'm also going to be repeating the same process for my waistband, and I'm also going to be making the length 5 inches, while I'm also going to be making the width about 5 inches thereabouts. So if you watched this tutorial to this point, this is me saying thank you for watching my video. So the part 2 of this tutorial will be dropping tomorrow, so please kindly stay tuned as this is going to be the sewing tutorial of the hoodie. You don't want to miss out. So thank you for watching. See you in my next video. Bye.